If 50% of the people who lived in London were Scottish,
yes,
would it be okay to say that London has become less English than it was when 10% of the people who lived in London were Scottish?
Well, if they were Scottish, yeah.
Right, so what's the difference?
But
there's no difference. He's talking about immigrants.
This may be an old clip, but a lot of people are talking right now about what does it mean to be truly English. So in this video, you're going to see how mainstream media calls common sense racist and how Konstantin Kisin brilliantly exposes the flaws in their logic. Let's watch.
What was your objection to it, Shola? When he said London is no longer English, people are reading into that he meant it's not white enough.
The bottom line is this. Referring to UK cities or London as non-English is a key point here. Britishness is not determined by the colour of our skin.
Well, he does go on to clarify. He said, actually, it's not about racism, it's about culturalism. And he said that it's not as polite as it was, humorous, it's not as friendly as it was, those sorts of things.
That is such nonsense. This is a man who left the UK because it's full of foreigners and moved to a foreign country. To become an immigrant, please, let's not take him seriously.
Because we've got bad immigrants.
What's your view?
Well, that particular point is a bit difficult to defend, I agree. But I think in terms of the racism issue, I don't see how this has anything to do with race. Look at the England football teams full of black players. No one would question their Englishness, right? They're English. It's not about race. What he's talking about, I think, is that, look at London. 42% of people who live in London are, like me, foreign-born, right? So there's a very significant immigrant population in London. Obviously, if you have half of a city, essentially, that are people who are first-generation immigrants, that is going to make it less of the local culture. It's just a fact of life, isn't it?
No, the fact of that is, and you're absolutely right, but the fact of that is...
It's just a fact of life, isn't it?
No, the fact of that is, and you're absolutely right, but the city has changed. That's fine, it's changed. But to say it's become less English is ridiculous. Either it's a stupid comment,
so let me give you an
racist
example.
comment.
Well, no, it's not. Well, first of all, it's nothing to do with race. But look at this. Look at it like this.
It does.
If 50% of the people who lived in London were Scottish, would we be okay to say that it's less English than it was when it was 10%?
We would say it is
Would that be okay?
British.
Well, no, but answer the question. Would it be okay or not?
Would it be okay? I'm trying to get my head around that.
If 50% of the people who lived in London were Scottish,
yes,
would it be okay to say that London has become less English?
Well, if they were Scottish, yeah.
Right. So what's the difference?
But
Workman malfunction.
There's no difference. It's talking about.
do you not consider yourself as English?
No.
Why is that?
Because I'm British. I'm a British.
So when you go to
person.
Scotland, if you go to Scotland, so where have you come from? What do you say?
Well, I'd say I live in London. I'm originally from Russia.
But why can't you say I'm from England?
Because I'm not from England. I wasn't born.
are.
No, I'm not. I wasn't born here. I didn't grow up here. I came here when I was 13.
When you're in Scotland and you're on the road and there's an arrow pointed towards England, do you not go that direction? Because that's where you're from, England. Why
I'm
can't
not
you
from England. I wasn't born here. I didn't grow up here.
But you just said are you from London?
No.
But
English.
Let me say exactly what he said in his second tweet. So he made this first one, and then lots and lots and lots of people went against him. And then he said, I suspect I should apologise for my affection for the Englishness of my upbringing, but in some ways, I found it calmer, more polite, more humorous, less tabloid and less money-oriented than the one that is replacing it. Now, the thing is, if I'm not a Londoner, I'm from the Northwest. But people will say, you know, all the money that has driven up prices in London, that means people can't live in London anymore, even if they want to. It's because there's Russian money here, there's Arab money here. It's the foreign investment in London.
On behalf of all Russians, I'm deeply offended by this. Deeply offended.
No, but what I'm saying is he's targeting the immigrants. Even with his explanation, he's targeting people. He's saying that you are not English. All of us have been here way longer before John.
Specific people.
Of course, he's talking about English people.
But you could make those
people. He's not talking about values. He's not talking about culture. He's talking about people, and that means it's got racist connotations.
Didn't say anything about people.
It's bigoted. Of course, he did.
He said that the city has become less English.
The other description,
I just think
it's not as polite. I'm sorry. So immigrants are not polite. What the heck?
Look,
What's it mean about that?
I think you can probably say it's about lots of cosmopolitan cities in Britain and across the world. That's the only thing. I don't know why.
So you're making my point for me. Is we have lots of immigrants. So he's not racist, just a very naughty boy.
Everybody's allowed to be proud of their heritage, except for the British, English, Scottish, Welsh, and Irish people. Look at when Keir Starmer recognized the state of Palestine, right? He said, ordinary people, Israeli and Palestinian. Now, was he talking about culturally Palestinian? You know, is it to be Palestinian? Is it just to live in the parts that are called Palestine? So, you know, the Jewish settlers in the Palestine region, they're really Palestinian. So actually they're Palestinian settlements. No, he recognized that they are a distinct ethnic group. We hear all the time diversity is our strength. What do we mean? We mean diversity of ethnicities. So that's why people celebrate. That's why, in London, they'll celebrate Pakistani Independence Day and all these things, because people recognize ethnicities. However, when it comes to Englishness, we're meant to be told that anybody, as long as you can touch British soil, is English. And the reason that they say this is because they know that if they can detach the culture and the land from the people, they can make the claim that anybody has as much right to live and benefit from the hard work of generations past in this country, no matter where they're from. So you can't distinguish between the asylum seeker that pops up on a boat versus the legal migrant that comes from a country where they marry their cousin. So he's married to his first cousin and wants his daughter to marry her first cousin. And you can't distinguish between any of these people and the indigenous English people, because we're all one and the same. We're all just as English as each other, but they don't apply the same thing when it comes to other countries because it doesn't fit the oppressor-oppressed narrative. England and Britain and the West are seen as the colonizers, the oppressors, the evil ones. Therefore, we must always find ways to make England pay essentially reparations to other people groups. And one of the ways that they rationalize that is by saying, hey, this country is just as much theirs as it is ours. Now, if you maintain the idea, let's say what Konstantin Kisin said, which I think is very much common sense. Imagine a white English chap saying what he just said. I mean, for one, it's really interesting that they had a conversation about Englishness with no ethnically English people on the panel. If they were having a conversation about trans women in sports, in female sports, they would have had a trans woman, a biological male, right? If they were having a conversation about Palestinian ethnicity, best believe they would have had a Palestinian there. However, when it comes to the English, not the same. Imagine an English person, an ethnically English person said what Konstantin Kisin said. That, I think, would essentially fit the government's definition for extreme right-wing terrorism. Just look what they say. Extreme right-wing activity includes ideologies broadly characterized as cultural nationalism. So what? The belief that your nation has a distinct culture that is worthy of preserving? White nationalism. What does that mean? That the ethnically English people happen to be white? I mean, it's just true. I was born in England, but I'm not ethnically English. Does it mean that I should be treated like a second-class citizen? No. And the vast majority of people don't think so either. So what? Just thinking that English people are white, which they are, and like what Nigerian people are dark-skinned, which we are. Like, what is that meant to be? White nationalism? These are the kind of things that could get you referred to the counter-terrorism unit PREVENT. And it's madness. And again, if we can't tell honest truths, we can't handle some of the hard conversations that need to be had. This is the reason they do this, is because they want to justify anybody coming and benefiting from what this country has to offer. That's why nearly 1.9 million people from overseas who are born in other countries have come to the UK and claim benefits that their ancestors didn't pay to provide. And when you have a system like that, you're attracting people, and I can say this having seen it firsthand, attracting people who come to use and abuse the system. Let me tell you something. I know plenty of people, first-hand and second-hand, black, Asian, whatever, who came to the UK to claim benefits whilst they went to build a house in their country of origin. This is happening up and down the country. The British people are being taken for fools because of a false suicidal empathy instead of biblical justice, which says, yes, we treat, everybody individually with fairness. However, everybody's expected to contribute, not just to come and take. That's what we need as a culture. We need people who say, Ephesians 4:28 says, let the thief no longer steal, but let him work with his hands so that he may have something to share with everyone in need. Unfortunately, as a country, our immigration system has incentivized people who are coming to steal and they're coming to just take. They lie on their applications. They lie to get into the country. They lie on their benefits applications. It is wrong. It's corrupt, and we must be able to call it out no matter who is offended by it.